visualization, like with the guru in the form of Lama Tsongkhapa atop your head, each of your personal gurus in the space in front of you. You have one or many, it's up to you, but they're there. And just as we begin this one, we remind ourselves, right, that first of all, the guru represents all the Buddhas. That was covered earlier, in the Lamrim. The guru represents all the Buddhas. And also that the guru is the most powerful karmic object for me. So in other words, I'm just reminding myself, right? If somebody else, sees one of my teachers, one of my gurus, and they're not a disciple or a student of that teacher and so on, then that's different. But for me, these people, these lamas, are the most powerful karmic objects. And I'm just reminding myself of that one. There's one teaching that says that, right? Like that. Like there are different kinds of factors that make somebody else a more powerful karmic object. So, for example, like my own parents are more karmically powerful than strangers. Why? Because they were kind to me. And that teaching says then that, someone who, like an Arya, someone who's seen emptiness directly in the individual liberation vehicle is more powerful than that. Then an Arhat is more powerful than that. Right? Somebody who's achieved their own liberation from samsara. Like an Arhat. Then a Pratyeka Buddha, a solitary realizer, is even more powerful than them, karmically. Then a Bodhisattva is even more powerful karmically than a Pratyeka Buddha. Why? Because Bodhisattva has bodhicitta. Right? So Bodhisattva is somebody who has in their heart, universal responsibility and bodhicitta, aspiration to liberate all sentient beings, so they're incredibly powerful karmic objects. Then a Buddha is more powerful karmically than a Bodhisattva. And then more powerful than a Buddha is my own guru, who's also a Buddha, but with whom I've established a relationship of their being my spiritual teacher. So they're the most powerful object karmically for me. Is a fundamental teaching on karma in relation to the spiritual teaching. So now this next topic that we're going to meditate on are the 8 faults of improper or not relying properly, or improper reliance. So this means, just to understand for ourselves, right, what am I contemplating then? So I'm thinking of these teachers of mine, right? Each one of them in front of me. And what I'm contemplating now is, in other words, if I don't rely on them properly, if I make various kinds of karmic mistakes in relation to them, then what are the flaws of that? What are the sufferings or problems that will come from that? And already we're getting this feeling, right, from this previous point, that this relationship is incredibly powerful karmically. And so these two topics, the benefits of proper reliance and the faults of improper reliance, are both coming from this understanding of the incredible power of this relationship. Lama Zopa Rinpoche said once that he said that for us the guru is like a like high voltage electric line. Whereas if one relates to that properly, it can like provide energy to an entire town or city. But if one relates to that improperly, one gets electrocuted. So this is the electrocuted, now these next 8 are the electrocuted version, is if I make mistakes. But Lama Zopa Rinpoche uses that analogy for a point, right? Which is if you're climbing up one of those huge, like metal structures, if you were the person who climbs up that huge metal structure and then hanging there, hundreds of feet in the air, have to make a repair or do something with, add a new line in to an extremely high voltage electric line, you're going to be extremely careful. I think that's the point of Lama Rinpoche's metaphor. And these eight are saying, I need to be extremely careful in this relationship because it's like that. It's that much positive potential, but it's also dangerous to make mistakes. This is not, we can make mistakes in other relationships and it's okay. This is one relationship where we don't want to make mistakes. Okay, so the first fault of not relying properly is that by disparaging my guru, I disparage all the Buddhas. So in other words, if I insult or criticize or disparage my guru, then it's the same as if I criticized, insulted, and disparaged all the Buddhas of the 3 times in 10 directions, an infinite number of Buddhas. There's a verse from the 50 verses of Guru Devotion that says, if a disciple comes under the care of such a protector and then despises him, he will be despising all the Buddhas and will continually receive suffering. And the essence of nectar, one Lam Rimtek says, the spiritual guides are the enlightened activity of all the conquerors. And because your guru is the very manifestation of that, if you disrespect him or her, you disrespect all the conquerors. What could have a more severe consequence than that? So you think, now that I've established a relationship with these spiritual teachers, that's one danger. Right? If I come to despise them or criticize them, then I'll be creating the karma of despising and criticizing all the Buddhas, which is obviously a very heavy negative karma. And that would include, criticizing them verbally or in my mind, truly despising them. The next fault, the second one, is that relates to anger at the guru. Like anger, anger, that's the word that you choose. And so what this one says is that each moment of anger at my guru, if I develop anger at him or her, with each moment of such anger, I destroy the merit created in that many eons of effort on the path. And it will cause me to achieve rebirth in hell for that many eons. That's the number of moments of anger. It's actually just the first part of that, right? Like it takes so much effort just to create merit for like a year. Like 1 year, if you want to create extensive merit, it takes a lot of effort. This is saying then one moment of anger at the guru destroys the merit created in an eon of making effort. And creates like an eon of rebirth in hell realms. And again, you get the sense of like the electrocuted, right? That this is indicating the extreme power of that relationship. There's a verse from the Kala Chakra Root Tantra that says, count the moments of anger towards your guru. You destroy the merit accumulated for that number of eons, after which you will have to experience intense feelings of suffering, of hell, and so forth, for that same amount of time. The third fault is that even if you practice Tantra, secret mantra or Vajrayana Buddhism with great effort, you will not accomplish supreme attainments if you don't rely properly on your guru. So here the point is that when practicing, so we're meditating, right? So if I practice Tantra, the main way to get results, the main way to achieve realizations and attainments is to be properly reliant upon the spiritual teacher, my guru. If I don't, then actually, no matter how much effort I put into doing retreats and so on, they won't bring any attainments at all, and I'll only nothing good will happen. Only faults. There's a story related to this one that we can remember if we've read the book, The Life of Milarepa. Right? There's a point when Marpa was sort of giving Milarepa a hard time, and actually Dagmema, Marpa's wife, kind of helped Milarepa kind of sneak away and go receive teachings from one of Marpa's students, and then Milarepa went in retreat, and nothing happened at all. He had no result at all. Then he had to go back to Marpa and say, in other words, because Marpa was his actual guru, he needed to, he wasn't relying properly on Marpa, and he had to fix that relationship. Then he achieved enlightenment in one life. Right? By relying properly on Marpa, then he did achieve enlightenment in one life. But when he wasn't relying on Marpa, nothing happened at all at his retreat. So the point is that even if we do retreat or practice Vajrayana, it won't bring any results if we don't have the proper reliance on our spiritual teacher. So we can pause there and sort of contemplate. Wow, okay, so I've established this guru-disciple relationship with this teacher or these teachers. I understand that there are these 8 great benefits if I rely properly. But wow, if I really make mistakes in this relationship, I'm like destroying myself. I'm destroying my own spiritual life and my own present and future lives. It's like I don't even want to criticize any Buddha, right? I don't want to criticize anyone, much less enlightened beings, and disparage them. But if I disparage these gurus of mine, then I'll be disparaging all the Buddhas of the 3 times in 10 directions. Like how horrifying, right? And we resolve, I will never even approach that. From this point forward, I won't even come anywhere near that kind of state. Any more than I would want to touch like a high voltage wire that's open, where I'll get electrocuted immediately. Just as I would stay quite far away from that, if there were like an open wire shooting sparks in the middle of the road, I wouldn't want to go over and touch it. In the same way, I won't touch or go near disparaging my guru, because it will destroy me. Right? It'll harm me, kill me, it'll cause me great suffering. Also, it takes so much effort to create merit. The last thing I want to do is destroy it, so I won't despise teachers, but I'll respect them. If I want to make progress in the practice of Vajrayana, then the most important thing for me is to keep good, healthy, positive reliance on my spiritual teachers. So the last thing I want to do is disparage and despise them and destroy my chance at Vajrayana practice. And the 4th fault is that even if you apply yourself to Vajrayana or Tantra, you'll only attain the hells. And there's a quote from the Vajra Mandala Adornment Tantra, which says, "Anyone who criticizes his perfect master will be accomplishing the hells and so forth, despite properly practicing the supreme sadhanas of all the tantras, while abandoning sleep and companions." So that's saying, it's actually an important point. It's saying even if you give up sleep and make great effort in doing retreats, right, and sort of retreat away from other people, if you don't have the proper relationship to your guru in your heart, saying that all your retreat will only lead to hell realms. Whereas whatever you do, if you're properly relying upon your spiritual teachers, even if you're just walking around, you're creating a lot of merit. So again, it suggests this idea of, if I want to make progress on the path, then I don't even want to come anywhere near. Then one starts to feel as though like faults in that relationship, or despising or disparaging my guru. Another metaphor, you would feel it's like, should I say it, like if you go to an outhouse where all the poop is underneath, the idea of falling in that, like totally disgusting. It's like something to avoid at all, at any effort. It's worth avoiding. Or another metaphor, it's like if there were what's it called, like someone said, oh, there in the next room on the desk there's Ebola. Right? Like, would you walk in that room and walk right next to the desk? Maybe you'd pick up something next to the open container of Ebola. Actually, you would leave the room. You would leave the whole building, right? And call people with hazmat suits. So it's a bit like that, right? You feel improper devotion, like, or what's the word? Like despising or disparaging the guru is like that. I want to stay that far away from that kind of behavior. The fifth fault of improper reliance is that you won't get any new or any kind of like fresh or new good qualities or insights or new spiritual insights or spiritual progress, and whatever progress you've made will backslide. You'll kind of lose whatever good qualities you have, and you won't get any new ones. And that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? In other words, this spiritual teacher is teaching me the path to enlightenment. If I'm despising and disparaging them, then of course I won't make progress on that path. Also, they represent the very goal of that path. So if I'm despising and disparaging the goal of that path, the one who embodies that goal, then I'm pushing myself further from that goal. So all my good qualities will just decrease, wither away, if I despise and disparage that group. The sixth point is that because of the heavy negative karma, right, extremely heavy, right? They're the most powerful karmic object for me. So if I harm them or disparage them, develop hatred for them and so on, anger at them, then even in this life, because of that heavy negative karma, all kinds of problems, sufferings, and illness will come to me. And actually we could contemplate like this, like even that it's like, that making faults in relation to the guru is like the opposite. When somebody does like a puja, right? They're trying to create good karma to have some kind of positive result. Disparaging the guru is like the exact opposite. Right? It'd be like doing something to create the worst, heaviest negative karma to quickly bring about every kind of problem to myself. So if I want to bring problems in this life, and also like an illness and suffering, and then also terrible suffering in future lives, the most effective way to do that in the entire universe is this: is to disparage and despise my spiritual teachers, or any one of them. The seventh fault is that in future lives, I will wander endlessly in the lower realms. Like with no, and because I've rejected spiritual guide, right, then I'm creating the karmic cause for myself to be lost. I'm creating this terrible negative karma. Then I'm also creating an obstacle to receiving help or guidance on how to fix my problem. So I'm creating the exact, like the heaviest negative karma in terms of like, if I want to create causes to go to lower realms and also have no one to help me or guide me in future lives to make things better, then this is the way this would be doing that. Creating the cause to make myself utterly lost. And that relates to the eighth fault, which is, it's the way of creating the karma so that in all future lives I won't have spiritual guides. If I despise and disparage my spiritual guides in this life, it creates a karmic seed, karmic tendency, that will block me from having spiritual guides, proper Mahayana guides or proper spiritual teachers in future lifetimes. So as we contemplate these eight faults, we use different metaphors. Another one would be like, it'd be like a farmer who wants, whose like entire livelihood for him or herself and their family, like relies upon crops, who spends all their money buying a bunch of seeds, money being your merit, right? And then burns all the seeds in a fire. They're not going to get any, whereas they're going to starve, they're going to lose their farm, they're not going to have anything to eat. Or to feed their family. That's another metaphor, right, for what this would be like. Because it takes so much merit, so much good karma to meet a perfectly qualified Mahayana spiritual teacher. And then to destroy that relationship, which would be the source of all the good things. It's just a way of creating so much heavy suffering for ourselves. And as these 8 points have pointed out, it will create suffering for me in this life, and worse suffering for me in future lives. It'll stop me from achieving enlightenment. Right? It'll stop me from helping others. If I have any interest in helping others, despising or disparaging my spiritual teacher is the most powerful way to stop any benefit I could ever give to others. It's making me like a burned seed, actually, that can't bring fruit for others or myself. It's completely blocking my temporary spiritual progress and my ultimate achievement of the spiritual goals. It blocks my achievement of happiness, even worldly happiness in this life, good future rebirths. So all the good things I want, it's the most effective way of destroying them. So one last metaphor we'll use is, it's also like a cliff. Right? I said like a high electric wire, it's also like a cliff, right? With a very long, steep drop. And so by understanding these 8 faults, in a way what we're trying to do psychologically and relationally and emotionally is 2 things. One is build a fence, by that for ourselves, and the other is stay away from that cliff. Right? So build a fence so we don't fall over it, and then also stay away from the cliff. So it's saying, I don't want to go anywhere near that kind of karma because the consequences are so huge. And before we heard, it could seem like it's harsh even to study these 8 points, right? But actually it's harsh not to, really. Because, in other words, if somebody doesn't know the heavy negative karma, then it's like putting them on a cliff and not having a fence and, blindfolding them and just shoving them, say, go ahead, take a walk. These 8 points, the Lam Rim teaches them to give us eyes, right, to see the karmic danger. Whereas we can't see karma directly, but this is the Buddha saying, This is the Buddha kindly and compassionately saying to us, you need a spiritual teacher to progress, along the path and to achieve Buddhahood. But then the Buddha is saying, once you establish that relationship, there's also a danger. You're entering a kind of powerful and important territory. And so the Buddha is kindly, who could see karma, right, is kindly saying, this is the worst cliff. This is this is one that you won't survive. And so the Buddha is giving us this guidance so that we stay away from that extreme danger. So we can conclude this contemplation on the 8 faults of not relating properly to the spiritual teacher by resolving from this moment on, throughout the rest of my life, and even into my future lives, I won't go anywhere near, I'll totally avoid this extreme danger, right? This spiritual Ebola, this most heavy of negative karma. And like if I find myself even coming in the same town as that, I'll leave. If I come near someone else, like who's encouraging that way of thinking, I'll get away from them. Because it will destroy me and my ability to help others and my whole spiritual life. So whatever I have to do to protect myself from that kind of negative karma, then I'll do that. With great energy and resolve.